It's February 3rd, 2008, in Glendale, Arizona, and there's only 1 minute and 15 seconds left in the Super Bowl, and it's 3rd and 5. The New England Patriots are just a few minutes from having the only perfect season in modern NFL history. And across from them stands a quarterback his own city called a bust, on a team that lost 6 games, on a team whose coach was almost fired a year earlier, on a team that by every metric should not be in this situation. And then, the ball is snapped, the pocket collapses, and there's 2 Patriots jersey on Eli. The season is over, and history is safe. But then, he's out. And what happened next shook the entire football world. And this is how the story of the underdogs killed the greatest team ever built in NFL history. To understand what the Giants did, you first had to understand what was waiting for them. Because the 07 Patriots were simply not a good team. They were the best regular season team the sport had ever seen. That offseason, New England traded a 4th round pick for Randy Moss, and what followed was mayhem. 589 points, the most in NFL history. Tom Brady threw 50 touchdown passes, a new NFL record, and Randy caught 23 of them, another NFL record. They averaged nearly 37 points a game and outscored the league by 315 points. And by DVOA, the advanced metric that grades every single play adjusted for opponent, the 2007 Patriots weren't just the best team of the year. They were the best team the stat had ever measured, 16-0, the first ever team to have ever finished a 16-game season untouched. And of course, Brady walked away with the MVP. This became one of his best seasons in his entire career. Now, let me show you the other side of this story. The 2007 Giants opened the year as a franchise coming apart at the seams. Tom had survived back-to-back collapses by the thinnest margins. The New York papers had already written his ending. Tiki Barber, arguably the best player on the roster, didn't just retire. He retired, took a TV job, and used it to call Eli Manning leadership comical, his own quarterback, just a few months ago on national TV. And Michael Strahan was 35, and he skipped every day of training camp and spent the entire summer deciding whether he even wanted to play football anymore. And Eli, 3 years after the franchise traded a 4th to draft him 1st overall, still looked like the wrong Manning. The slumped shoulders, the blank stares, the interceptions that always seem to come in twos. On one side, we see the most dominant team ever measured, but on the other side, a team a few losses away from blowing everything up. The season opened as badly as the season can. Week 1 in Dallas, and Eli throws 4 touchdowns, but it doesn't even matter because the defense allowed 45. The next week, at home against Green Bay, they're dismantled 35-13 in front of their own fans, and Giants Stadium turns on them. 2 games and 80 points already allowed. No Giants defense had ever given up more to start a season. At 0-2, nobody on this planet had this team playing in January, let alone February. But then, something clicked.
Right side, Manning looks down the middle. Caught by Shockey, touchdown. Number 34, he has a first down, he has a touchdown. Caught by Burris, touchdown.
The Giants won 6 straight, and the engine wasn't Eli, it was the pass rush. Week 4 against the Eagles, the Giants sacked Donovan McNabb 12 times. Yes, 12, tying an NFL record that had stood for decades. And OC had 6 of them by himself. The final score was 6-3, and it announced exactly who this team was going to be. They were going to be living in your backfield until the clock hits 0. And by the season's end, that front led the entire league with 53 sacks. OC finished with 13. Justin Tuck added 10. A Strahan, in what would be the final season of a Hall of Fame career, added 9 more. Underneath it all, the running game quietly became the offense spine. Brandon Jacobs, Derek Ward, and a rookie named Ahmad Bradshaw, a top 5 rushing attack that let the Giants win without asking Eli to be the hero. They even crossed an ocean and won the first regular season game ever played outside North America, a 13-10 struggle against Miami in the Wembley mud. 6 straight, from 0-2 to 6-2, and New York started to believe again, but it really shouldn't have. Because here's the truth the ring has slowly erased. The 07 Giants were maddening. Week to week, you never knew which version was going to walk out of that tunnel. The offense lived and died on Eli, and Eli was a mystery himself. He finished the year completing 56.1% of his passes with a 73.9 rating, while also leading the league with 20 interceptions. He'd hand you down a 4-touchdown afternoon, then follow it with something you couldn't even watch. And the defense carried that same split down its middle. The unit that buried McNabb 12 times also gave up 45 to Dallas, 35 to Green Bay, 31 more to Dallas in the rematch. When the front 4 got home, they looked unstoppable. But when they didn't, the secondary was exposed, and everybody knew it. 10-6 looks respectable until you open the hood. The Giants scored 373 points that season and allowed 351, only a plus 22 difference. And if you want the lowest moment, we have to go to November 25th, 2007, against the Vikings. The Giants are at home, and the Vikings are carrying the worst ranked pass defense in the entire NFL. If a struggling quarterback was ever handed a mercy game, it was this one. But Eli, he went 21 of 49 and 4 interceptions, 3 of them returned for touchdowns, 3 pick sixes in one game against the worst pass defense in football that season. The final score was 41-17, and Minnesota's defense outscored the entire Giants roster by itself. The Bulls that afternoon weren't angry anymore. They were finished. That was it. But here's the twist, and it tells you everything about this team. Their best game all season was a loss in the final game against the Patriots. The Patriots are coming in undefeated, and the Giants are already locked into the 5th seed. This game means nothing. Every voice in football says sit your starters, but Colifin refuses. And for one night, the whole country leans in. The game is simulcast across 3 networks at once, the first time that ever happened, and 34.5 million people watched this game. And what they saw is the greatest team ever assembled getting slapped in the mouth.
Jacobs turns one tackle. Touchdown Giants. Past midfield. Hickson with one man to beat. Hickson. Touchdown Giants. Manning. Boss. Touchdown Giants.
The Giants led 28-16 in the third quarter, and Eli Manning threw 4 touchdowns, and for the first time all year, looks like the player New York was promised. It took a 65-yard Brady the Moss bomb, the throw that broke both scoring records at the same time for New England to escape. The final score was 38-35, and the Patriots left with the undefeated record. But the Giants stood through something much more quieter and dangerous. They stood next to the Immortals for 60 minutes and watched them bleed. Strahan said it in the locker room afterwards. This might be the best thing that ever happened to us, and Strahan was right. So the playoffs have arrived, and before we go there, I want you to exactly see what the numbers believe about this team, because this is what separates 2007 from every underdog story in sports. The Giants weren't a sleeping giant the models secretly loved. The models wanted nothing to do with them. DVOA ranked the 2007 Giants 16th out of 32 teams, 16th, the exact middle of the NFL, the definition of average. The Giants have gone 3-5 in their own stadium, which meant the 5 seed would have to survive the entire postseason on the road. No home crowd, no margin for error, 4 straight elimination games in someone else's building. They were the underdogs going to every single game. And run that matchup through any model you like, as many times as you like, and the Giants lose every single time. And what follows is the story why we all love the game of football. First, we start the wild card at Tampa Bay, January 6th, and it opens exactly the way you'd fear. The Bucs are up 7-0, and Eli Manning is 0-2 in his playoff career without a single touchdown pass. Every doubt every New York fan had about him is sitting right there in the Florida sun. And then the least expected things in this entire story happens. When the time was needed, Eli came through the clutch. Eli finished with 20 of 27 passes for 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no turnovers. The man who led the entire NFL in interceptions did not turn the ball over once. The defense smothered Jeff Garcia, the run game drained the clock, and the Giants leave with a 24-14 win in Eli's first playoff one. It wasn't loud, but the blueprint was finally laid out for the Giants. But now it gets personal. It's the divisional round at Dallas against the Dallas Cowboys, the number 1 seed, 13 Pro Bowlers on one roster, and 2 wins over the Giants already that season. No team in league history had swept a division rival and then lost to them in the playoffs in the same year. In Dallas, it's a fistfight. Amani Toomer, the forgotten man of this era, catched 2 touchdowns, and Eli is surgical again, 163 yards with 2 scores, and nothing once again given away. But this game belongs to the front 4, who spent the entire afternoon folding Dallas' pocket in on itself. The fourth quarter, Giants 21 and the Cowboys 17, and Romo gets one last drive. Final seconds, Romo drops back and throws for the end zone, and R.W. McQuarters is waiting, intercepted. The number 1 seed is gone. The Giants have won 9 straight games away from home, and a fan base that booed this team 6 weeks earlier begins whispering a word no one in New York had dared to use: hope. Now it's the NFC Championship at Green Bay and Lambeau Field on January 20th, 2008, and the temperature at kickoff is 1 below 0, and the wind chill is -23. It was the 3rd coldest game ever played in the NFL, and one man showed up warm. Plaxico Burress spent the entire week telling teammates the Giants would win, and then he went out and took Al Harris apart. 11 catches for 154 yards in air that made your hands stop answering. Coughlin's face burned red with frostbite on the sideline. Jacobs and Bradshaw hammered the frozen ground, and Eli, the man who supposedly shrank in cold light, threw it 40 times without a single interception in the coldest game of his life. But this night belongs to the kicker. Lawrence Tynes misses from 43, then with 4 seconds left in regulation and a Super Bowl sitting on his foot, he misses from 36. Now it's overtime at Lambeau against Favre, and you already know how this support is supposed to end. Except on the second play of overtime, Favre forces one to the sideline, the last pass he will ever throw as a Packer, and Corey Webster steps in front of it. It was intercepted, and the Giants now have a chance. But before Coughlin can even weigh the decision, Tynes is sprinting onto the field on his own, and from 47 yards he sent it through the frozen night. Giants 23, Packers 20, 10 straight road wins. The team ranked 16th in football is going to the Super Bowl, and waiting for them is the same immortals they watched bleed just a few weeks ago. So it's time to paint the scene, because the confidence around this game has crossed into something else entirely. The Patriots are undefeated. The spread is 12 points, and when Plaxico Burress predicts a 23-17 Giants win, Tom Brady stands at the podium and laughs. We're only going to score 17 points? Yeah, okay. Now, let's hold on to that quote. Now it's February 3rd, 2008. The University of Phoenix Stadium, the Giants open with a drive that works like a message. 16 plays, 9 minutes and 59 seconds, the longest drive in Super Bowl history, and it only produces a field goal. But that was never the point. The point was that the most prolific offense ever built was going to spend the evening standing on the sideline, watching. And when that offense did take the field, it meant something that it hadn't seen all year. Spagnuolo's plan was almost as arrogant in its simplicity. No desperation blitzes. Our 4 will beat your 5 all night. Brady was sacked 5 times and hit a dozen more. The team, averaging 37 points a game, walked into halftime with 7. The third quarter passed without a single point from either side. 5 weeks earlier, these teams combined for 73. Now the scoreboard could barely even breathe. Now, the fourth quarter is 7-3 New England, and Eli answers with a touchdown drive, finding David Tyree, a special teams player with 4 catches all season, for the lead, 10-7. Let's keep that inning close. But teams don't reach 18-0 by accident. Brady assembles one perfect 12-play drive and finds Moss in the end zone. 14-10 Patriots, 2:42 left to play, and everyone watching understood. The underdogs had a beautiful story, but history was already written. Then, Eli Manning steps into the huddle, 83 yards from a miracle. 4th and 1. Brandon Jacobs moves the pile just far enough to keep the season alive. Then 2 plays later, it's 3rd and 5 from their own 44 with a minute 15 on the clock. And now we're back where this video began. The snap. The pocket caves instantly. Richard Seymour has a handful of jersey. Jarvis Green has more. Every person in that stadium sees a sack. The whistle's halfway to the referee's lips. And then, Eli Manning spins out of the pile, staggers backwards into open grass, sets his feet, and sends a prayer down the middle of the field.
It is caught by Tyree.
And then, the iconic helmet catch was born. David Tyree rises with Rodney Harrison, an all-pro safety, hanging from his arm, and he catches the football against his own helmet, one hand, pressing the ball to his crown while falling backward, and Harrison tearing at it all the way to the ground, and it never touches the earth. 32 yards, the helmet catch, the greatest play in Super Bowl history, and arguably the greatest play in NFL history, made by a man who will never catch another NFL pass. This was actually his last one. Then Plaxico Burress, the man Brady laughed at, releases into a slant and go touchdown. 35 seconds left, Giants 17, Patriots 14. 17 points, the exact number. Brady gets 3 final heaves towards Moss. The last one dies in the Arizona turf. The greatest offense ever assembled, finished with 14 points and 274 yards, both season lows, 22 points beneath their average, and Eli Manning, league leader in interceptions, 73.9 passer rating, comical, is now the Super Bowl MVP. Final score, 17-14. The perfect season is dead. Now it's 18-1. So let's close the loop on what we actually watched that night, because time has only made it stranger. nearly 98 million people, the largest Super Bowl audience ever at the time, watched a 12-point underdog deliver the biggest Super Bowl upset since Joe Namath in 1969 against the only 18-0 team the Super Bowl will likely ever produce. Eli, the regular season, 20 interceptions. Eli across 4 playoff games against 3 division champions and an immortal 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 2 of the coldest drives ever recorded. And that's why this stands alone as the greatest underdog story in sports. Not just because they won, but because every measurement we have said they couldn't. Buster Douglas was 1 fight. The Miracle on Ice was 1 game. The Giants ran a 6-week gauntlet, 13-3 Dallas, 13-3 Green Bay at -23 odds, and the undefeated Patriots every game on the road, underdogs every single time, carrying the 16th best roster in football by the numbers. The average team walked through 3 champions and killed the greatest one. Sports has never written anything like it, and 4 years later, as if to prove none of it was an accident, Eli and the Giants did the exact same thing to Brady, 21-17 in Super Bowl 46, the same formula, the same ending, but that's a story for another video.